Anna Moore had always been the kind of woman who felt too much compassion, too much hope, too much heart in a world that often felt cold and calculating. At 24, she had just started her role as a volunteer coordinator at the Everbrook Rehabilitation Center, a place where people came when their lives had been shattered by accidents, strokes, and devastating news. She had seen everything: burn victims, amputees, speech loss, paralysis. But the man who came in on a rainy Monday afternoon was different. James Carter, 32, formerly one of the top rising architects in the state. He had been hit by a drunk driver while walking home late from his firm. The impact crushed his spinal cord, T1 to vertebrae. Diagnosis: permanent paralysis from the waist down. The trauma had stolen his ability to walk and, more painfully, his ability to see a future for himself. Anna watched as the nurses brought him in. His face looked like it hadn't smiled in weeks. Dark hair and shaven jaw, eyes that once may have dreamed now filled with fury. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to connect. He just wanted to be left alone. But Anna, she saw something else. Not pity, not duty, but something deeper: recognition. There was still light flickering inside him, buried beneath the bitterness. She'd seen that flicker before, in her own reflection, after her father died when she was 18 and the world had felt empty. Days passed. James attended the minimum therapy sessions. He didn't engage. The group painting class every Wednesday was the one place he stayed, longer than he had to, even if he never touched a brush. Anna noticed this. So one Wednesday, when the room cleared out, she rolled her chair beside him with a small canvas. "You don't have to like it," she said. "Just try." He looked at her for a long time. Then, without a word, dipped the brush into blue paint and began to draw something abstract. It looked like fragments, like a skyline broken apart. "It's awful," he mumbled. "No," she smiled. "It's honest." That moment opened the first door. From that day forward, James began staying after group sessions. They'd talk, sometimes about architecture, sometimes about life before the crash. He told her how he once designed homes that touched the clouds, how he lived for glass and steel and sun-drenched foils. But now, he couldn't even reach his kitchen cabinets. Anna listened. She never interrupted, never said, "I understand," because she knew she couldn't. Instead, she said, "Tell me more." Their connection deepened. She brought him books on adaptive design. He sketched again, tentatively, cautiously. Soon he began working on reimagining the rehab center itself: better doorways, wider turns, natural light for patients with depression. James had purpose again, and every sketch, every laugh shared with Anna, was another brick rebuilt in his crumbled identity. 3 months into his stay, James invited Anna to an art exhibit. It was small, just local artists, many with disabilities, but it was a big deal to him. He hadn't been out socially since his accident. Anna wore a pale green dress. James wore a blazer that hid the tremble in his arms. They spent hours there, laughing, whispering about paintings. When it rained as they left, Anna ran back to grab his jacket in the parking lot. Under that soft drizzle, James said what had been pressing at his heart for weeks. "I never thought I could feel this again." Hope. Anna touched his hand. "You never lost it. You just needed someone to remind you it was there." He kissed her that night, gently, like he was still afraid the world might break again. When news broke that Anna was dating James, the center buzzed with whispers. A few patients supported them. Some staff frowned. But it wasn't until Anna's mother found out that the storm really came. "You're 24, Anna," her mother said, exasperated. You want to throw your life away for someone who can't even walk with you, Anna sat still. Then calmly answered, he walks with me in every other way that matters. Her friends weren't kinder. One called it a savior complex. Another said she was settling out of guilt. But Anna didn't feel like she was sacrificing anything. She felt like she had found someone who saw her the real her, and James. He didn't see a caretaker. He saw a partner, a muse, a fire. He thought he'd never know again. So when he proposed kneeling from his wheelchair with a trembling ring, she said yes before he finished asking. Their wedding was modest. A small garden behind a chapel. Her dress simple. His suit perfectly tailored as he sat beside her at the altar. A few friends cried. Others didn't attend. Photos of the ceremony were later shared online, the internet, as it often does. Split in judgment, some called it heartwarming. Others said she married him for attention or sympathy. Pity bride trended on social media for 2 days. Anna didn't care. Neither did James. But they had to be strong. Life as an introubled couple was not easy. Restaurants without ramps. Sidewalks too narrow. People talking over James, as though his chair meant he had no voice. Still, they pushed on. James resumed designing. He started a firm focused solely on universal design buildings that worked for everyone. Regardless of ability, Anna supported him by building their online presence through her blog, rolling forward, writing about their day-to-day, their joys and frustrations, their love. Slowly, they built a life. A year into their marriage, the city announced a massive project, a new $30 million cultural arts center, an open call for designs. James hesitated. It's too big, too political. Anna disagreed. It's time they saw you. So late into the night. They worked. James drew. Anna edited, annotated, researched. Their final design, a breathtaking, glass-arched structure with seamless indoor-outdoor flow, integrated ramps that spiraled like sculpture, acoustic zones for the hearing impaired, and sensory gardens for the neurodiverse. They submitted and waited. 3 months passed. Then the call came. James Carter's design had won. He didn't believe it at first. Then Anna showed him the city's press release, a new future. Disabled architect designs cultural center for all. His story went viral. News outlets lined up. Universities offered him honorary degrees. He spoke at TEDx about designing. Dignity. Suddenly, the man in the wheelchair became a symbol of strength. But at home, he was still just James, her James. Years passed. Their daughter Elise was born, cheeks chubby, eyes curious. She loved her father's wheels. He taught her to draw before she could speak. They built a home together. Literally, James designed it. Anna planted the garden. Every door frame wide, every room filled with art, love and sunlight. When Elise turned 7, the cultural center was finally complete. They stood together at the grand opening. As the mayor praised James, the audience turned to look as he stood assisted by a robotic exoskeleton designed by a team of engineers inspired by his story. He didn't walk across the stage. He didn't need to, but he stood. For a few long, breathtaking moments, he stood. The crowd erupted in applause, not for the standing, but for everything it represented. Later that night, James and Anna lay in their backyard, staring at the stars. "You know," he said softly, "they all laughed when you married me. I remember," Anna whispered. "But now, they finally see what I saw from the beginning," she said. "But it doesn't matter, because I didn't marry you for them. I married you for the way you never gave up even when you thought you had." He turned his head toward her, eyes shining. "I love you, Anna." She kissed his hand. "I always knew. The world just had to catch up.